Welcome back for the commodities market update. Now let's look at the poultry market. Price of a crate of egg has increased by 40% from 2,000 naira to 2,800 naira. Let's find out the drivers now. Let's talk to Fumi Adebowale, manager, financial derivatives company. Great to have you on the show.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. So what would you say is responsible for this price hike, and what impact will it have on food inflation, which is currently at 29.34%?
Yeah, so actually the price of eggs usually fluctuates. I know, and the peak period is usually between September to December. So what happens during this period that there is always increased demand. First of all, there's increased demand for consumption by children. During in September, schools are in session, and we see increased demand for consumption purposes. We also say that during in Q4, which is towards the end of the year, there is increased celebration, weddings, birthdays, and because of these, bakers and other confectioners demand for this commodity. And when there is increased demand, what happens is that price will increase. But more importantly, I think farmers are currently battling with high cost of feeds, and that's because of the spike in the price of maize. Maize accounts for over 50% of poultry feed. So an increase in price of maize is translating into increased price of eggs. And what this means is that there's going to food inflation will definitely increase, because egg is one of the items in the food basket. But the magnitude of increase depends on the weight of eggs in the basket.
And definitely there's a correlation between income levels and protein consumption. Right now, we know consumers are squeezed from all sides. What are you seeing for egg consumption in Nigeria going forward, and how will it affect productivity and growth?
Of a truth, there is a positive correlation between income levels and consumption generally, and not just protein. What happens is when your income increases, you tend to increase consumption, and vice versa, meaning that when income level drops, you reduce consumption. And currently, an average Nigerian is actually battling with squeezed income, meaning that we are forced to reduce the amount of produce of any product or any commodity you buy. So consumers are actually left with two options. You have a budget constraint, meaning that your nominal income is the same while your real income is falling. So one of the options is for you to reduce the amount of this commodity that you consume, meaning that you are going to your indifference curve will shift downwards. The utility you get from the product will increase. The other option is for you to probably get a loan and stay on the same indifference curve. But I think the most probable option is to reduce consumption, and that is happening currently. We are seeing the demand for eggs decline because people can no longer afford what they used to. So what 3,000 naira worth of egg in 2020 is not the same thing with the same. It is not the same thing you'll be able to buy in 2022. So definitely, demand for egg will reduce.
Right, and I do not want to take a loan to eat. That's the terrible investment. But we've seen the cost of feeds and other poultry industry inputs like vet medicine, they've increased recently. If this continues, what is the viability of egg production in the country?
Like I mentioned earlier, that one of the factors that is making farmers increase the price of eggs is because of the spike in the price of maize, one of the major inputs for poultry feeds. But maize is not the only thing affected. There are other inputs that have been affected: cost of medicine and all. More importantly, even the cost of logistics, moving the inputs or down from where it's being produced to the market point or to where the farmers are is high. Then after the farmers are done producing the eggs, the cost of moving it from the farm gate to the market is also high. So all these factors are actually coming into play. And more importantly, we're also seeing, because of the high cost of inputs, some farmers that cannot cope are actually shutting down operations. So meaning that if the price of egg is lower than the average cost of production, definitely you have to shut down. And it means the market is based on survival of the fittest. So if you cannot cope, you're out of the market. And if this trend actually continues, it means that the production of egg would decline further, and that has significant implications for individuals and even for the country as a whole. Currently, I think egg consumption per person in a year is about 78 eggs in Nigeria currently, compared to the US, where the average consumption is about 285 eggs per annum, and even South Africa, where consumption is about 128 eggs per annum.
And recently, South Africa, the second largest egg producing country in sub-Saharan Africa, is currently experiencing an outbreak of bird flu, leading to a shortage of eggs and poultry. What's the possibility of the disease spreading to Nigeria? Very briefly now.
Yes, so currently, Nigeria's domestic production is not sufficient to meet demand, and the country has been importing eggs. And South Africa was one of the countries where Nigeria imported from in 2021. About 13% of total egg imports was from South Africa. So if this trend continues, it means that if we eventually import eggs that are infected, then the chances of this disease spreading to Nigeria is high. But if there are other markets where Nigeria can turn to, then I think this risk of disease spreading to Nigeria is actually low.
Fantastic. I guess we need to protect the birds going forward. Thank you so much, Fumi Adebowale, Manager, Financial Derivatives Company. Thank you.